Hello trainers, Ganeto here, and today we are diving together into Mountain Cup with my best teams around Froslass. 4 teams in total, and I think you're gonna enjoy every single one of them because we're having unique mons on every single team, and Froslass is gonna rotate on its lines. So for the first team showcase out of the total 4, we're gonna use Froslass up on the lead. So at the back we're gonna have a very strong backline on the face of Registeel and Gastrodon. Those two are gonna combine like a pretty solid core because you have the charge attacks from the Registeel, the mud slaps from the Gastrodon, and of course the Froslass up on the lead, able to pressure a lot for that early shield advantage. I really like Froslass on the meta. It's gonna be a safe pick slash generalist, while at the back you have a Pokemon like Registeel which can definitely take a shield out of the opponent, leaving aside for your Gastrodon to sweep much easier. Gastrodon's main weakness are gonna be the grass type, so with that in mind, here is where the other two Pokemon come into play. Both Froslass and Registeel are gonna be able to cover that weakness perfectly, while the main core breaker of this line remains the Gliscor. Gliscor with Night Slash can still go kinda toe to toe up against the Froslass, while at the back it is just dominating, especially if you do not have Flash Cannon on your Registeel. I think that Gastrodon stands absolutely no chance against Gliscor, so if you want to get some extra coverage for the Gliscor, consider running Water Pulse over your Earth Power, because for the Steel types you still have your Mud Slaps. This team is particularly strong, I like it a lot, hits like a truck, and of course you have a lot of pressure on the closing part with your Gastrodon. Now we head into team number 2 and we're having Whiskas upon the lead, at the back the Froslass and Berserker. So Berserker is gonna work like an amazing safe switch for this cup. I like it a lot, even against its counters. It can definitely take a shield out of the way, and this team really needs that in play because both Whiskas and Berserker can pressure for that shield scenario, for the shield advantage, so that your Froslass can be the ultimate closer that your team is gonna need. I like as my closer the Froslass a lot, especially with that shield advantage, and this team can help with that. For your Berserker, I believe that foul play and close combat are gonna be your main ways to go. No need to go for the Iron Head or whatever, while your Shadow Claw is still gonna be able to pressure a lot the enemy with some big farm downs. Up on the lead, the Whiskas is just gonna be able to spam a lot its mud shots, and of course Blizzard for the end game might be kinda handy against a Flyer or a grass type Pokemon. As a core breaker for this line, PvPoke suggests Fortress. I don't know why, but still I am just gonna put in here because other than that, we have no other clear core breaker. This team covers pretty much anything. Its biggest drawback might be its defense at the back being super glassy, especially after the close combat with the Berserker, but other than that, I think we're gonna be just fine. This team hits like a truck. You don't care at all about the spamminess, you can take shields pretty easily, and your Froslass will most likely be most of the times on a very good spot to sweep the entire team. I like Whiskas, I like Berserker, and I think that those two will form a very good core for any other third Pokemon other than Froslass if you do not have one for your teams, but I think that if you didn't have a Froslass, well, you wouldn't watch till this time in this video. Now this next team is taking advantage of the absence of fire in order to be extremely good. Froslass might be a solid pick, but fire types might eventually break it down, so we're gonna use it up on the lead. At the back we have an Escavalier, a Pokemon double weak to that fire typing matchup, and of course at the back we're gonna have the Diggersby. Diggersby is gonna be our only answer to those fire type Pokemon, something like a Magcargo, a Camerupt, or even the core breaker of this line, the Fire version of Mowile. I like it a lot on this meta, and perhaps I will make a video about it, but for this team it's gonna work as a core breaker, but hopefully not a lot of trainers are gonna use it on Mountain Cup. Other than that, you're gonna be just fine. You're having Froslass, which is a dominant force up on the lead. At the back, the Escavalier, which can pressure a lot with those counters. You have the Drill Run, which can always connect for big damage, or just go with Megahorn for even bigger damage, but to be honest, I believe that something like Gliscor might be kinda problematic for you, so having a move like Aerial Ace, even though it's a bad move, will give you some coverage against that threat for sure. At the back we also have the Diggersby, as we have already said, able to reach those fire punches pretty fast. The fire element is missing from this cap, So certain Pokemon like Mobile and Diggersby can get you there to those fire moves, and you're gonna have the upper hand eventually over your enemies. Earthquake might connect for big damage, but of course consider using something like a Hyper Beam if you want to have some spice over your enemies and catch them off guard, especially against something that is just gonna not get dominated by your moves, something like a Gliscor for example, because a simple Hyper Beam will just pass through 2 shields and destroy them down with ease. Into the final one now, and besides Froslass on this video we're talking a lot about Gliscor, so here it is in a line, and I think it is gonna help you a lot on the closing part. This time we're gonna have Froslass not as a leader, not as a closer, but instead as a safe switch, because we want to leave some room aside for our Gliscor to have the upper hand on the end game. Up on the lead we're gonna have the Lucario, and this Pokemon might be extremely glassy, but still is gonna get you there to those moves not fairly fast, but with a lot of pressure. Those counters are gonna connect for big damage. You can always use your Shadow Ball for the nukes and power up punches to boost up your attack stats. However, if you want to surprise your enemies, I recommend using close combat. I totally forgot that I had close combat when I was trying to go for that Lucario, so I went for the power up punch, which was a default move that I had, so that's why I'm using it here, because if I knew earlier, if I had spotted the moveset, well, I think that close combat could have been the better option for me, able to get you there one counter earlier than the Shadow Ball, which is pretty big, and your opponent might not just expect it, gonna leave that unshielded, and they're just gonna get nuked down with their Steel type, with their Diggersby, with their whatever. You're still gonna connect for big damage, that close combat, and you're gonna have the upper hand for sure. At the back, your safe backline is just gonna take care of the rest, and I think that both Earthquake and the Avalanches with the Shadow Balls from Froslass are just gonna connect for big damage to whatever. You always have Night Slash for your Gliscor, so there is always that extra win con scenario where you get that boost on a bait, and that's pretty nice for the Gliscor. So high level plays, mind games, or just luck on your side when you're playing a Pokemon like Gliscor. As a core breaker, I have decided to add just another Froslass, and that's mainly because of its typing, because Ice type is gonna help a lot against your Gliscor, while you still have the Night Slash, to be honest. And up in front against the Lucario, they have to get to that Shadow Ball to finish you off, and that's gonna be a pretty easy battle for the Froslass, but still you can pressure for that Shadow Ball for sure. While your only chance against the Froslass might be the mirror match, you can see that the core breaker of Froslass is a core breaker of course, but kind of a soft one. And that is gonna wrap things up for today's video, covering in full depth the Froslass. Thank you for watching, trainers. Just be sure to leave a huge like before you go, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't, and if you want to support even more, well, joining as a member can always help with that matter. Thank you once again, and I hope to see you all into the next one. Take care, trainers!